Hi, my name is Patrick Sobecki, and I'm here with Mark Luebe, and we're here on the Crown Hill Podcast.
The Crown Hill Podcast.
Which is a joke that will probably get funnier as we say it more.
Reduce, recycle, and reuse it, yeah.
So good. Well, we're just here today on this first one to talk about what we want this podcast even to be.
Yeah, and we've begun this conversation a little bit of what our goals are for this podcast, but
yeah,
as you think about this podcast, what do you want to get out of it, Patrick?
I mean, I feel like 3 years ago we started making the jokes that we should have a podcast, and it was mostly coming out of our conversations about the new creation and like our disagreement there, which was just the best. Which we'll probably get to in future episodes.
A very minor disagreement.
Oh, the minorest of disagreements. So minor that our seminary professor told us that it didn't actually matter enough to disagree about.
Or something to that effect.
That was my interpretation of his answer to us.
Fair enough.
But regardless, we're here, we're doing it. What do we actually want to do, though? That's the question we got to answer today.
So this is coming with, I'm putting a cup of tea down. I wanted to drink a hot beverage. It's herbal tea. It's a good one. But we wanted to do this podcast coinciding with a new work we're doing of church planting. So we just moved to the West Denver area. We're in Lakewood. If you cross the street, we're in Wheat Ridge, and we're looking to plant a church in the greater Wheat Ridge area. And right now, we thought a great way to just, one, to have fun together, talk through theology, have conversations that we already want to have, and also allow people to get to know some of what we are about, is to actually just have some of these conversations in more of a public forum. I love podcasts because I think they're one of the most... they're one of the places where you can have long-form discussions in our culture, and you can't have those everywhere.
Hi, Tina. This is great. My wife Tina just walked in, so
with Paxton,
with our little boy. So it's always the fun of recording a podcast in the kitchen.
So we think that part of the value of this podcast will be that people can know what we're about as a church and get some of our heart in ministry. Yeah. Maybe if you're church planting someday and this goes well, you can listen to it.
Or if it doesn't go well, you can listen to it.
Just know what not to do. And the other thing is, I also hope it's actually a resource for people who are joining the church early on in sort of core team-like roles, that we can talk about some of our heart and desire for ministry and just what the Lord's doing in our lives.
Well, and I even think of, there's such a different context that we're living and ministering in now that the Apostle Paul or Peter weren't ministering in. When they were doing ministry, when they were planting churches, they were going into cities, and then they were just with the people they were ministering to all the time. Yeah. Like, they were always around each other, because that was the way cities were. Yeah. Is you were there because you didn't have a car. Most people didn't own a horse. And so you just lived within a very small circuit of each other. And that was how life went.
Yeah, and if you're Jewish, you'd see each other on synagogue. There's a lot of teaching in the synagogue that happened as well.
Totally.
But yeah, there's like public spheres. But we live in a culture now where's the public sphere?
Oh, man. Not even just where's the public sphere, but like how do we interact with one another on a regular basis? And it's like, oh, we're so spread out, we're so distant. That's the magic of digital to some degree. I don't think it replaces the in-person nearly as much, but I think what it does is it provides a stopgap, something to fill in the gaps that now exist just physically between us as people. Yeah. So we just don't have as much time for random conversations. We don't have as much time to just explain why we do the things we do. Yeah. So we wanted to make space for that. And podcasts seem like kind of the ideal place. Just be like, oh, why do we do this the way we do it? Yeah. Oh, you can listen to this podcast and find out.
And also, I think for us, we're going to be having a lot of conversations about ministry, philosophy of ministry, theology. And in a lot of ways, I think this will be a podcast that will help us hone some of what we're saying. I actually noticed this when I was doing a podcast with my brothers, because we did a podcast on theology called Living Theology with the Luebe brothers. I'm not plugging it, but
it is worth listening to.
But it was an unintentional plug. But one thing I did find valuable in that is that we did a series on hard questions about the Christian faith, and because we went through and talked through those questions, we actually informed the way that we were working through them. And then we had a place where we had answered some difficult questions, like how do we think about science? How do we think about same-sex relationships? How do we think about, these different issues, might be hot button issues, and we were able to discuss it together. And that discussion and the time actually helped hone how I did ministry, because I had spent time discussing those things. And so I think we're going to want to have conversations around what are our values as we church plant. And I think it's a great thing to be able to do that in a way that we interact, and then we get to interact with others who can let us know what they're thinking, let us know what their questions are as well as they're processing through it.
Totally. I think it's going to have that practical dimension, and then there are just going to be times where I'm just excited just to talk through like some theology things that we're both trying to sort through.
Yeah.
I think that's like the great hope we've had for podcasting.
Yeah.
When it was just us being friends was
Yeah.
like, all right, we're going to do bro sciencing the new creation.
Which we'll explain.
When we get there.
Yeah.
But just spend time just talking through the fun theology that we love to talk through, that have some really clear things, and it has such great implications for our life now. But like, it's really just enjoying the word, enjoying the Lord, and enjoying time with one another.
Yeah. It's like, I think if we do a podcast that we know that we will enjoy doing together, that's a valuable thing. And I know my mom's going to listen. So shout out to my mom. Love you, Mom. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Beth.
So that's always a plus.
It really is. That's so good. I think, even as we like talk more about it, I think one of the things I'm excited about is just your and I different bents.
Yeah.
As we come to this, because there's so much. I like joke that you just have the Bible memorized at this point. I know that that's not technically true.
That would be nice.
But it is like functionally true. It feels like a lot of times.
Thanks.
You just have such a gift to be like, I reference an idea and you have like a chapter and verse.
You reference a 4th century theologian.
A very specific 4th century theologian, let's be honest.
Augustine.
Saint Augustine.
And I said it right to honor you there, Patrick.
I really appreciate it. If anyone is wondering, it is Augustine. St. Augustine is a city in Florida, but it's a very different pronunciation. Just to be clear from the beginning.
And don't get all your theology there.
That got me. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Mark.
For
I
sure.
really
For sure.
appreciate that.
Yep.
But yeah, like my training is very much like historical theology, literature. Like we just come at questions from two very different good points of view.
Yeah.
And you have a lot more training in contemporary philosophy, which is really helpful. So I've just never read guys past. I joke that like if it was published after 1850, I probably haven't read it.
I I don't know if I've kept up as well as I could on my modern philosophy reading, but I did a CU undergrad in communication with a minor in philosophy, and so I loved the philosophy classroom, the discussions and teasing through those things, and I'm always down for a good philosophical discussion. So
the other day we just solved the Euthyphro dilemma, so we'll probably talk about that another time.
Maybe
just casually.
William Lane Craig has a great answer for it. So,
that's good.
If you don't know what it is or what the answer is, maybe you're not concerned, but if you do know what it is and don't know the answer, check out William Lane Craig.
I love it. Thanks for giving credit where credit's due.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
So, God is the standard. Okay, keep going.
But I think that's like one of the things I'm really excited about, explaining what and why we're doing things, us being able to enjoy conversations in a public way. And even one of the things I've really appreciated about the idea of a podcast is spending time talking more about what was preached on recently. I think in the process of learning how to preach in the last 3 years, I've learned how much you just can't say in the pulpit. Not because you can't say it because it's controversial or whatever, but like you just can't say it because you can't take 3 days to preach.
Totally.
And because that's how life is. And that's okay. But that's one of the things I've loved about the idea of having a podcast, is spending more time of like, man, you did so much work studying that passage. What are some of the things you didn't get to say? What are some of the implications you didn't get to?
Yeah. And that's how Calvary Bible Church, the church we came from, that's how they did their weekly podcast. Is they would have one of the preachers come in and do a conversation. And so shout out to Calvary Bible Church and the weekly podcast.
Oh man, we love
Pastor Jay Ewing.
It's so good every time. I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
It was great. Even though I didn't get to preach, Jay still had me on a couple times.
Yeah, and you ran it for the summer at one point, right?
I did. Jay went on sabbatical and they put me in charge.
Nice.
And it happened.
That was the goal.
They didn't fire me at the end of it, so that's good.
Dude, that's always the goal.
That's always the goal.
So this podcast, we're looking forward to it. Yeah, I think it's fun because we've talked about doing it a long time and now we're doing it. What's our philosophy of podcasting? So like here's an example. Patrick is not an editor.
Correct.
And I've done editing on a podcast before. We're planning on having it pretty minimally edited, if ideally none. Part of that is just practicality. We're church planting and doing seminary and have families and things, so we probably won't spend a lot of time doing it. But also, we like the idea of just being able to legitimately give a full form discussion of what we have, and just flowing with it and being okay with it, having the ups and downs of a normal conversation. And for those who stick in, we hope it will be rewarding.
Well, and even for me, the idea of an unedited podcast conversation is helpful. Because I think there's a place for like good shows that people produce really well.
Yeah.
That's really great. But I think this, like, I want our podcast to occupy another kind of space where it's just, hey, we are two pastors trying to figure out what it means to do ministry in Lakewood, Wheat Ridge in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And we're trying to love the Lord, love our families, and love people.
Yep.
And it's like, if we're going to do a big production, I don't actually think it serves to show like who we actually are.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's a realistic, it's an entrance into the process that we're actually in, which is actually we're like, I've been thinking a lot about families as the illustration for church. I mean, the household of God is a term used. I believe that's 1 Timothy 2. But the idea of 2 Timothy 2, the household of God?
I think of Galatians 6.
Oh, interesting. So, one of Timothy's epistles, and perhaps Galatians as well, Israel of God is Galatians 6. But one of the illustrations that's used is that I've found helpful in thinking about churches is families. And in a way, we're kind of like two young... It's kind of like a young family that we have as a church. It's like there's some families who are saying, "Hey, we want to jump in and do this thing." We haven't started services yet, but as we think about it, it's like we're learning to parent. We're learning to be engaged as a family and to grow spiritually. And part of the joy is we depend deeply on God's grace in the ways that we will stumble towards maturity. To use the phrase of an EFCA book that we're reading for credentialing.
Shout out to Greg Strand, I guess.
No, that one's...
yeah, it's Arnold Olson.
Arnold Olson, there we go.
Greg Strand's just the credentialing guy.
Yeah. So as we stumble towards maturity, we hope that maybe this podcast can be a reflection of that. And I'm confident it will be.
I'm confident it will be at least something.
All right. So Patrick, tell me something about this church you're seeking to plant.
Yeah. Let's use the royal we here, shall we?
Okay, well, we. What are we doing?
Man, I think one of the things we're really excited about is the opportunity to see a new church that reaches new people, but a new church that even presents a new vision for young people to pursue church planting. So, you know what I mean by that, because you've been here the whole time as we've been going through it.
Because we've talked like 1,000 times.
I mean, and the fun part is we got to take a class on church planting last year.
Yeah.
And that was just so fun. Chris Vogel was the professor. He's in charge of church planting for the Presbyterian Church of America. And it was just such an awesome time to hear all the ups and downs. Mm-hmm. And we walked away with 3 conclusions: that church planting is impossible.
Yep. Christ
commands it.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, we must do it.
Yeah.
And so it's it's even just a sweet fruition of that class and the conclusions we came to that we're here now.
Yeah.
Looking at, oh man, okay, we're actually doing it. We're here.
Yeah. The second one, Christ commands it. It would be great to have a podcast on just that at some point. I know we're throwing out ideas like book recommendations. It's like, will we ever read those books? Will we ever get to that? If the Lord wills. But a podcast on the relationship between discipleship and the church, and between church planting and the Great Commission, and the New Testament trajectory, that would just be a fun podcast. Who are we reading? Church Planting Thresholds by Clifton?
Yeah, Clint Clifton.
Yeah, he's got some great stuff on that. We would
He
just
does.
steal his stuff and put it on a podcast and give him
Brutally.
credit.
Yeah, give him credit. But, like, really, like, use the ideas for our
Use
podcast.
the ideas. Yeah, but we think that there is strong reason to church plant in our day and age, and that we also, our mentality in church planting is we are not the savior of Christendom. We're not doing something new. We're not thinking that this is, all of a sudden the solution, but we view it that God's kingdom is working is moving, it's working in the world, and that this is a way to enter into a unique way for us, and something that's actually needed right now in our culture. Like, we need more churches to be planted. There's some challenges that the church is having in America, and one of those is that just we're not, our church planting is not outpacing our church dying. And so going back to family systems, it's like if you think of a family, like it's good to have children, and the population growth is having children, raising them up, maturing them. We're not having children because we are mature and have all the things figured out, but we're trusting God to raise up a generation and to use what we're doing and to be reaping a harvest where people have already been working. That's another thing. I joked about this earlier. Sometimes, like, church planting profiles will be like, this is the least churched place in America or in the world, or like, and it's like every place you go is like, how is this the least church place when like that other one is the least church place? It's like, what stats are we using? And there's always some presentation of it.
Yeah.
And there's good stuff in that. Don't get me wrong. But we also are like, hey, we're not going to some godless place where there's never been a work of Christ. Like, we're in a place where there have been people who have faithfully ministered and labored. And so one of the things that we're doing as we get here is we're trying to meet the people who have been faithful and have laid a foundation. And part of the blessing of that is we actually think that other churches and other ministries that are in the area are one of the greatest blessings. That we're not trying to compete with others, but there's such an abundant, ripe harvest field. The harvest is ripe. The harvest is plentiful, and yet the laborers are few. And that's what Christ told his disciples, and we believe that's still true essentially anywhere you throw a stone in the world. But particularly here, as we think about the Front Range, we're like, the harvest is plentiful, the laborers are few. There's faithful laborers. We've been sent off and blessed by a fantastic church, Calvary, that's doing faithful ministry. There's faithful churches in our area, and yet where is there a need for churches? Like, there's still a need in so many places for more churches to reach more people. As there's always a need for disciples to make the gospel known. And we believe that this is an oft used phrase, but different churches will reach different people. And so we want to be faithful with whatever the Lord gives us in this season, and to share the gospel boldly, be clear about what we're doing, love people well, and see what God does.
And I think even just to talk about what I think a profile of our church might look like.
Yeah.
Is I think young families are going to play a prominent role because we are part of young families.
Yeah.
It is just the easiest thing in the world
It's
right
the most
now.
natural connection.
To be at a playground, to be at a library.
Yeah.
To, like, for our wives to be out with the kids and to make connections.
Yep.
It's so easy right now.
Totally.
That it feels like if we didn't do that, at least, we would have to ask some more questions,
Yeah.
at least. And so I think that's going to be a huge thing. And that's one of the fun parts is I've started talking about the area we're in as a new development that was built in the 60s. Because the reality is there are so many young families that are moving into this part of the city, despite the fact that all the homes are old.
Yeah.
And it's really this interesting demographic shift of older boomers who are either retiring, moving away, or just passing away. And then young families are replacing them at a pretty incredible rate.
Yeah.
But like you go to the library down the street from us and toddler time is packed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like it's so,
Shout out to Lakewood Library.
we love it. Thanks for being great, Jeffco Public Libraries. If anyone from there ever listens to this, we really appreciate you guys. And so that's one thing is like young families. But we also have a great amount, between us and our wives, have a great amount of experience working with college students and young adults. I think of my wife, Tina, and I worked with the Navigators, first at the University of Minnesota, and then here at CU Boulder, and just loved that ministry. And you and Hannah have gotten the chance to work with high school students, with college students.
Middle school.
And like, you did men's ministry.
Yeah.
Like, you've had a great mix of experiences.
Yeah.
Of like caring for so many different people in like that young adult space of like, how are we figuring out who we are? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things is like where we live, there are about 8 colleges within like 20 minutes of us.
Yeah.
And then we have friends and connections at college ministries at like half of those.
Yeah.
Which is just this awesome opportunity where
Auraria counts as 3, which is nice.
Yeah, it's so true.
Thanks, Alex. Shout out to Alex.
And like I was talking to Brian Hanneman yesterday about like providing us space. Brian's a friend of ours who works with Oaks, a campus ministry at the School of Mines.
Shout out to Brian. I don't have to do that for everyone, but I might.
We'll see. I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah. We'll talk offline.
But Brian and I were just talking about how like, oh man, there are some times he's getting times with students who are like up and coming leaders and like how he could invite us into that.
Yeah, that was fun.
And so it's just this cool opportunity where it's like, okay, young families, that's kind of low hanging fruit for us right now, just being young families. But college students are this other area. And that's where I think we see our vision really coming to fruition is helping families that are just settled to get settled and have a heart for discipling and reaching their neighbors.
Yeah.
And helping college students to catch a vision for what could it look like to be a part of the church for the rest of my life and to see Christ's kingdom go forth.
Yeah.
Into all the nations among all peoples.
Yeah. And so like a little bit of our demographics is kind of, I mean, we have obviously very few families right now involved in this, but it's pretty much 20s and 30s plus the 0 to 3 demographic.
Yeah.
Plus my parents in their 60s. And
Yeah.
so it's 60s, 20s, 30s, 0 to 3. Now, I think that represents kind of 3 generations. But part of that, as we've been looking at this area, one of the things that I've been thinking about, or kind of just having some vision for is what's the picture we want to put forward? And we really do hope to be a church where, you know, whatever someone's background, whatever their age, stage of life, culture, that it's a place where people feel like they can be welcomed and cared for. And I think that happens through relationships, through hospitality, just through being welcoming. But one of the interesting things is we also know there's a significant of the amount of the population that's kind of in what we would say is the de-churched category, where they were maybe attending church one time and have stepped out. And part of my hope in this area is that there are some of those who are in that later season of life, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, who get excited about finishing strong and pouring into future generations through discipleship, and we care for them well, connect with them well, and then have a vision of, hey, this isn't just something for the next generation, but this is something that how do I finish well with what the Lord's given me? And maybe some who have been out of church and through a personal invite we're able to say, hey, come into something like these aren't days of, you know, diminishing glory. These are days of like some of your perhaps best days of ministry. So that's part of our hope too, is inviting people into that vision, and thinking about there's a unique demographic here of a split of aging out of a home, moving into a home. It's a very eclectic area, and we kind of love it because of that.
Yeah, it's so fun. If you get the chance to come visit us, we're just at the southwest corner of Crown Hill Park.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an inspiration for the name.
Yeah. We'll tease it out now, Patrick. We'll tease it out now. Crown Hill Church is what we're thinking of as a name.
It's got a question mark at the end of it at this point.
Yeah, on our church group chat, it does have a question mark. It's Crown Hill Church.
Not because we don't expect to be a church, but
Yeah.
just because that is probably the name.
Is that the name? Yeah, that's what we're teasing out. We think I put in the below it or something in our description. We're a question mark away from having a name. But it's important to me that I not only make a joke but continue to explain the joke. So that's
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's reusing jokes. We have actually a guest coming right now, which is Callie, Patrick's dog. But so for Crown Hill Church, the reasons we like that one, we're next to a park. Tell us about that park, Patrick.
Crown Hill Park is named Crown Hill after Crown Hill Cemetery that it shares the land with. It was a farmer who got involved in the state legislature back in the 1800s. It's probably way more history than anyone was asking for. But yeah, sold his farm, and Jefferson County bought part of it and turned it into this beautiful park that we just get to enjoy on a really regular basis.
Beautiful lake.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible. From it, you can actually see kind of a crazy amount of the Front Range.
Yeah, it's great.
Like all the way from Roxborough Park in the south all the way up to the Flatirons.
Yeah.
And that just kind of shocked me. Just being in the middle of the city, I never really expected to have a view like that. We don't have a view like that at our place, to be clear. But you just walk into the park, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah. So that's the first layer of meaning. It's somewhat geographical. It's also not too geographical. So we didn't want to choose something that was too geographical, that if we end up having to move a few miles, it makes it confusing. So we're like, hey, Crown Hill, I think some people know it, but it's also not But also, it doesn't sound only like geography. The thing we also like about it is the idea of Crown Hill with Christ the King who dies on Calvary. So it emphasizes the kingly office of Christ and the priestly office of Christ. Actually, I'm gonna correct myself theologically here. It's the threefold office of Christ.
The Munis triplex, if you will.
Thank you, Patrick. The Munis triplex. I'm learning this word now, if you are too. Be of good heart. The Munis triplex, a threefold office. So it's not as though you have like one part of Christ that's over here. It's like he is prophet, priest, king. But it emphasizes I'm understanding that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Christ as prophet, priest, king. We think it's cool that it emphasizes also his kingly office through the crown, and then the hill, thinking about the hill upon which Christ gave up his life. And so Crown Hill, we're like, that's a pretty sweet name, and it seems rather open and usable. So we're testing it out.
If you're listening to this, please don't go buy the domain name.
Yeah.
Just as a
Unless
favor
it's
to
for
us. That's also an option, I guess. That's been the joke of like ever since we started Googling it, that someone was going to buy
It's
the
like we
domain
gotta stop
name
Googling it,
out
man.
from under us.
Yeah, stop Googling that.
That's why we put it in a podcast.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to be as under the radar as possible.
Exactly.
But I think that's like what I'm excited about is like, man, how can we as two friends, brothers, fellow pastors who are planting in church, figuring out life with young kids, figuring out how to love the Lord, how can we continue to have great conversations that build each other up, but also build up anyone who decides to listen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, thanks for having this conversation today, Mark.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
thank you, Patrick.
Well, we'll see you next time.